Hi everybody, welcome to Stamping with Melva. Today I'm here to show you how I made this really pretty card featuring the Quiet Meadow bundle. And I've used one of the brand new in colors from the Stampin' Up! Annual Catalog, Fresh Freesia. And I've combined it with crumb cake to make a really pretty card. So I've done some stamping and some stenciling, and I just love this bundle, the Quiet Meadow bundle. So let me just switch over to my desktop and I'll show you how I made the card. Well, first of all, I'll show you the card. Isn't this pretty? So it features, as I mentioned, the Quiet Meadows bundle. So this is a stamp set, kind of an eclectic stamp set with these typed words that you can't really read but are great for backgrounds, flowers, and lots of sentiments. And then it coordinates with this set of dies. Now the dies actually don't cut out any of the stamps that are in the stamp set. They actually just cut out these great plant dies pieces. I don't know. So some of them are so pretty. This is my favorite. I don't know what you call these. I think they're called cornflowers. I call them bachelor buttons. I actually had these in my wedding bouquet. They're just so pretty. They come typically in kind of a periwinkle blue color, but they also, the ones I had were pink because I couldn't get the blue ones. But all sorts of these great flowers. Now, the other thing that these are really good for is to be able to use them as stencils, and that's what I've done on my card. So not only have I used them, the die cuts, but I use the pieces where I cut out the these pieces and I used them to stencil the back of my card. So let me show you how I made the card. My pieces. Okay. So I've got a piece of Fresh Freesia. All of the measurements for my card are on my blog, so I'm going to give them to you, but if you need them, you don't get them written down in time. They're all, the written instructions and measurements for my card are on my blog, and the link to my blog will be under the video. So this is Fresh Freesia. It's so pretty. It actually looks pinker on the camera than it does. It's actually more of the lilac-y color. So 4 1/4 by 11, and you're going to fold this in half to form your card base. Grab your bone folder and fold, just give it a good crease. Okay, then I've got a piece of crumb cake that is cut 4 inches by 5 1/4, and a piece of basic white that is cut. Actually, this is what you want it to be cut. Doesn't matter so much about the width because you're going to tear this, but you want it to be 5 inches long. So you could cut it 3 3/4 by 5 if you wanted to, but this is just a bit of a wider piece. But we're going to tear this piece off. So the first thing we want to do is use I've got some scraps, well, a full piece of this because I need to cut 2 pieces, and some scraps of the Fresh Freesia, and we're going to use this to cut out some of the pieces. So I don't think I can get 2 of these. This is the mini Stampin' Emboss. So from the Fresh Freesia, I'm going to use this cornflower, and we're going to cut this piece out. So we're going to use the piece that we're cutting out, and then we're going to use I'm going to use this on my card. That can go off. Oops. But we're going to use this piece as a stencil, so you want to save that. You only need 1 of those. Now I need to cut this in half because it won't go. It's too wide for my for the mini machine. That's okay. So we're going to do that, and now you just want to cut another piece out. So that's perfect. Again, you're going to cut this out. We're going to use the piece, the die cut piece on the front of the card, and then you're going to use the other piece as a mask for stenciling. Okay. Oops. So that's that piece, and then we need one more, and I'm going to use this die right here. Okay. So save the mask, pull that off, and I need one more piece. There is this great label die that we're just going to cut a piece out. That's going to be for our sentiment. So while we've got our machine, we might as well get everything cut out. There we go. Okay. All right. So let's get this piece out. Take your pick tool. All right, so the dies are back in there, back on the magnet, so I don't lose those. Okay, let's bring this back in. So what we want to do is what I did is I stenciled this, and I'm using crumb cake, and I'm using a blending brush. So I just picked up some ink with my blending brush. I've laid this down, so on my card you can see I've stenciled a piece on this. That's why I've torn it out so you can see that. So you're just going to lay this kind of on the edge and just kind of go over it. And now you can just kind of see it, and that's all you want, is just that peak. And so then for the other pieces, this is going to be the front of your card. Take these pieces out. So you can use a combination of pieces. I think on my card I actually just used this one piece. So I'm just going to do some stenciling using this piece. And it really is just soft. You don't necessarily, if you want it darker, you can, but I just kind of wanted just a little bit, and just kind of moving it around. We're going to also do some stamping on this as well. That doesn't have to be all, wholly on the card. It's just to give some background detail like that. So save these. They're great for using them as stencils. Now, the other thing we're going to do is we're going to stamp using this type. You can't kind of read it, but it's kind of gardening. And I'm going to stamp off because I don't want this really, really dark. And I'm just going to stamp kind of randomly like that on the back of my card. And then the last thing we're going to do for a background is I'm using the Fresh Freesia ink, and there is this great splotch stamp. So we're just going to take this, and I'm going to stamp off because it's still even somewhat dark when you stamped off. And we're just going to put some splotches in the background just to create some detail. There. So then the last thing, now we're going to just tear this. So I want to just make sure when I tear that I'm going to start, and I'm just going to take this and kind of tear it Actually, I've realized I've, I've torn off my piece here, but that's okay. I should have thought about that as I was stamping. Okay, so I've just done that because I want to show this piece here. And then I've sponged the edges and the where the tear is, just to, and then I'm just going to take this, and so you can use your blending brushes just like you would have used a sponge or a sponge dauber, or if you have sponge daubers and don't have the blending brushes, you could use that for sure to do your sponging with the masks as well as to do the edges. So it just kind of makes it, you're really just distressing it. And now we're going to take and use Stampin' Seal or whatever your favorite adhesive is. It's just a brand new roll that I put in there. So I ran out on my last video. Okay, so we're just going to adhere this down like that. So you see this one on the edge. Now I'm using the Baker's Twine Essentials pack, and there are 5 different rolls of Baker's Twine in here. So white, black, very vanilla, granite gray, and then crumb cake. So we're going to use the crumb cake because that coordinates with my card. Now, first of all, I want to stamp my sentiment. And I'm using the You're Too Kind. And I'm just going to stamp it here in the middle. Now the cool part about this label is it's got these cutout pieces, and so you can take and wrap, go this through the ends, kind of keeps your label in place. I didn't do that on my other card, but you can. Now I want this to go on here, and we're going to wrap it around the card a couple of times. So I'm just going to if you don't want to do this, you can just adhere your die on with dimensionals. But I kind of like the look of it through the ends like that. And if you want to do it one more time, you can do that. I think I will leave it. Actually, I've got it too much, so I need to pull some back. There we go. I've got lots of twine going on here. I don't need to use quite so much twine. There. Try and pull this so I haven't got so much wasted. This is a great idea, but now it's not working so well. All right, let's try and do this. There we go. To get my brain going here. Okay, all right, so now I'm just going to put some dimensionals on the back of that and put it in place. That you can hold the twine in place with it as well. And get that positioned in the center of your card. Like that. Pull it so it's somewhat tight, and now you can just adhere this extra to the back of your card using some Stampin' Seal. Like that. All right, and then oh, you know what I forgot to do? I forgot to put my really pretty, got all excited about that label. Okay, so we can still get that in there. So forgot to put my little my die cuts in behind. So let's do that. Poke the holes out. And this one. All right, we'll just lift this up. And now you can use either a little, I'm going to use a little bit of multi-purpose adhesive glue, just a little bit of a dot. You don't need a ton, just to hold these in place. So I'm just going to take and kind of position them where roughly, there we go, one. So I put the two crumb cake ones underneath and at the back. This. And oops, put those down, press them down, there we go. And now I'm going to put the corn flour, and I'm going to use some mini dimensionals on the corn flour. I have to, okay, that one will go there, and then I'll just have to trim. So you can always just take a piece and cut off and use it. It's a little wide. So you can trim these dimensionals. There's extra on the edge, so just take it and trim it to the size you want so that it doesn't show. And then we're going to pop that one right on top like that. Like that. And now I can put my label back in place. Got all excited about that. Okay, now some things away here. This is just going to adhere to the card base. There we go. If your Stampin' Seal kind of goes back into it, the thing, just take your finger and roll it, and it will kind of get it back into place. Sometimes it'll do that. Okay, so then, yeah, that was a card. All right. So that was the card, original card I made, and this is the card that I just made. It's pretty similar, although I used a little bit. I used the other die on this one, so they're both pretty. Right. So I hope you enjoyed that. If you have any questions while you're checking out this video, please just leave a comment underneath the video. I'm happy to answer them. Or if you're over on my blog checking out the written instructions and the measurements, leave a comment there and I'll answer your questions. Hope you enjoyed it. Don't you just love this new in color? This fresh freesia is so pretty and goes so well with the crumb cake. If you are interested in putting an order in, as I said, I'm a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Canada. And so if you're in Canada, interested in putting an order in, you can find my online store on my blog. So thanks everybody for joining me. Hope you have a great day. Happy stamping.